I'm Ross Hines, I'm from Rapid 5D. I probably won't talk that fast. I got asked to do this, and I got asked to sort of look at things, and I said, well, what quantities have to be involved here somewhere, and are they green is the real question here. How do we start to measure things in terms of green and actually start to apply that as a series of benchmarks and things? So what do quantities drive? Quantities actually drive pretty much everything. They drive all our materials on site, our labour, our costs, and they even start to drive time as well. It's how much am I going to build, how long is it going to take me? So they're actually driving pretty much everything we have within the construction industry. So green material quantities, coordination, optimizing routes. What we're trying to do is start to avoid wasted material, so in this kind of situation, we can actually optimize the routes, we can get things nice and close together. I can even start to separate things like hot and cold water so that they don't contaminate each other in terms of energy loss, those kind of things. Also coordination, no rework. I don't want to be doing things twice. We all know about clash detection being level 1. We're after clash avoidance, so avoiding these kind of things, making the holes before I get there. Or actually is it more green and less wasteful to actually come and core drill afterwards? Do I end up with less sort of packing, less filling in? Things like Firestop are pretty horrible in terms of the environment, so can I reduce that? Design for manufacture and assembly. Off-site's only possible with BIM. We want to be going from the model, making everything in a factory with the minimal waste and the best environment, taking it straight to site. This is a real job Manchester in the UK that we were involved in, so that's happening now. And then the other thing is, with material quantities, accuracy. If I get accurate quantities, I only procure what I need. So I cut waste right at day one. I need to track that waste. I need to benchmark how much I was going to use, do the actual construction work, and then try and avoid dumping loads and loads of stuff in a skip to tend away somewhere else. We've already kind of touched on embodied carbon. That lives on all the materials, the resources that we use on site. What about the embodied carbon for this? How do I include it? I need the quantity for these. It might be tons, it might be cubic meters. This is hours of use for the diesel and things like that. It's a quantity times the amount of tons of CO2 that actually belong in an object. When we look at embodied carbon as well, we've already spoken about life cycle costing. Well, a normal bulb is 2,000 kilograms of CO2 per year. If we actually look at something versus a slightly better product, it's 204 grams. So it's a factor of 10 per year for something like an LED light bulb. That's quite a massive impact. We also mentioned time. Everybody's time is valuable. We only get it once, and it's the most perishable thing we own. It's precious. I love this phrase, waste it wisely. Do a lot of time wasting, not in this though. But it's key how we use our time. If we can reduce what we're doing with time, that's going to be more than 20 seconds, we can get rid of menial tasks. Quantity takeoff is very time consuming. If we can use a BIM model to actually get to these quantities, especially when it's location based stuff for planners, it's very repetitive. Humans hate it, computers love it. They're quicker at it, they're better at it. So why aren't we using them and using BIM for it? If we do this kind of stuff, we should get some, inverted commas, free time. We can retask it. We're very poor in construction at optimizing things straight out of the box. We can actually optimize stuff, improve performance, whole life cycle, reduce carbon, reduce cost. We can follow this kind of manufacturing type methodology where I start with something and I optimize it and optimize it and optimize it before I actually knock out 100 of them. Also, time techniques, location-based scheduling, lean construction techniques. Just by messing with the sequence of building this project, we reduced it from 24 to 20 weeks. No change in the quantity we're building, just the way I'm doing it. This has a difference on site as well. If I spend less time building it, it means it spends less time like this, where it's not good for the habitat, it's not good for the local wildlife, it's not even good for carbon because there's no grass here, it's absorbing any carbon. You need to spend more time like this. So if I can actually reduce that build time, I can be better to the environment right from the very outset during the construction process. Also, if I reduce the cost by being green, because we can do that with whole life cycle costing and things like that, that means I get to build more projects. That maybe isn't a good thing for the environment, but maybe it is. More flood defences, more wind turbines. For the price of 4, I can have 5. That's got to have a better carbon kind of impact on the world and how we're doing today. Looking at that life cycle stuff, 50,000 hours of use for a light bulb. That's 40 number normal incandescent bulbs versus, and these are £1 each. So I'm talking about £40 for this. One LED lamp to do the same job over 50,000 hours, £6. hold on a minute, this is cheaper and it's better for the environment because I'm only building one of them. Then tie it in with the operating costs. These are £210 a year. Quite expensive to run when you compare it to the LED that's doing the equivalent job with the same kind of lux and everything else, £21 a year. Again, I'm saving even more money. When I actually start to tie these two things together, those running and purchasing costs, and I bang it over 25 years, this is over £5 grand. It's not great for the environment either. When you actually start to look at the LED stuff, we were so much cheaper on procuring it, so much cheaper running it. 531, this is less than 10%. This has got to be a no-brainer now. Then we tie it in with facilities management. How often do I change an incandescent bulb? What's the cost of this guy coming to site, his van and everything else? This is the easy one, the one guy on the ladder changing a light bulb. What about this scenario? There's 7 guys changing this light bulb. How much carbon is tied up in these guys coming and doing this work? Also, the only thing that's going to show me this data is not just BIM, it's an asset information model. I have to hand it over. Most of this stuff is locked up in the operational time, not the CapEx expenditure. So we have to make sure the data we hand over to these guys is right and contains the right information. So where are BIM quantities in this? They're part of the puzzle. They're not all of it. There's so much other data we have to attach to it, but so much of this is quantity driven. We have to get the quantities, we have to get them quickly and efficiently, otherwise we will never achieve this green agenda. One part of the puzzle, it's the starting blocks. We need to add all the other pieces to it as well.